Hey everybody, Florida Fisherman here, and welcome to another episode of Making Something from Nothing. And what we're going to be doing today is making a cart for my rotating welding table, which is featured in another video that I have up. So please check that out. And the materials we're going to use today is a junk piece of plywood, a bed frame, a set of casters rescued off a mechanic's dolly, and some 20-pound bases to some clothing racks from a department store. And that's all we need. So stick around and watch me build it. So I determined I need 4 pieces of angle iron, about 19.5 inches each. So I set up this little makeshift thing to hold my angle iron, and I'm going to go ahead and start making some cuts. Well, 3 down, 1 to go. Time to get another stick of angle iron. Okay, got all 4 pieces cut now. Time to move on to the next step. Well, now that I've got all the pieces cut, it was time to start getting this thing together. So I went ahead and tacked this down with a braze. And I'll have to do that to all 4 corners. And then I'm going to mount another one of these silver guys over onto the opposite end and tack those on. And then I can go in and basically button up all the joints with some braze. Okay, so I got 2 on. I've got the third screwed in place to hold it, and I'm going to go ahead and braze that guy up too. So, well, I've got the 4th upright brazed on, so it's coming along pretty good. And this is going to be a cart for the rotating welding table. So what I'm going to do is take another one of these rectangular pieces and secure it down on this side right here. And then I'm going to attach some plywood to both the top and the bottom and apply some or bolt some casters onto it. So this way this thing can roll around, and I could put that rotating welding table on top of it and roll it around the shop, because that thing weighs about 80 pounds and it's just sitting on this piece of crap right here, and I need to clean up the shop, so time to tidy things up. Okay, I've got this table cleaned off to go ahead and throw this cart on there. It was too difficult working on the floor, and I need this thing at eye level, so I've got this thing up on the table, and I've got the ends all dressed up, ready for brazing. So I'm going to see what it's going to take to go ahead and get this other rectangular piece in place. And I'm not really set up with, a ton of long clamps. So it's going to be interesting. So we'll see how this goes. Well, it kind of went better than I expected. But there's a little bit of tension on these uprights, so this way when I went ahead and slapped this other rectangular piece in, even though that thing weighs 20 pounds, it actually holds it pretty solid. So I think what I'm going to do is maybe run a couple of screws into this thing and go ahead and braze her up. Looks like we got a snake. Big one too. What you doing, pal? It's hauling ass. Well, I've got the whole thing tacked together now, and just a matter of going in and brazing up a little bit more on these seams to firm things up, but other than that, this sucker's ready to go. So basically threw some brazes on after measuring it up and getting it all square and whatnot. Next, mount some wood. Probably have to grind down these edges a little bit too. Sticks out a little bit here and there. But all in all, came together good. Wish I had an extra hand in the shop today. Would have made things much easier. Well, it's the next day and I'm back working on this cart, and I took the angle grinder and ground down the angle iron that's currently on the bottom, flush with that rectangular piece, and fixing to do the same for the top. As you can see, the angle iron sticks up above it, and I need it to be flush, so I've got a little work ahead of me, so let me get on it. Okay, well, after a bit of work, I'll tell you what, that bed frame material, it's some tough stuff. But I've got everything ground down, everything's flush now, and time to cut a little bit of wood. Okay, so I moved the operation outside, broke out the skill saw and the extension cord and some tools, and a thought occurred to me. Maybe I should be building some damn sawhorses instead of a rolling cart for the welding table. Note to self. All right. Well, I was going to bolt these casters on, but the heads sticking up were going to cause me a problem. And if I recessed them, this is only 3/4 inch plywood, and I wouldn't have really a whole lot of wood to grab. And I wanted some meat there, so I decided to go with these screws, pretty heavy duty with some big threads, and it's pretty damn secure. It's not going to go anywhere, so I think they're going to work fine. And it's going to be easier to mount that board over onto the framework there, so that's what I'm going to do. Well, it's a shame these two factory holes right here are so close to the edge, because I could have used those to go ahead and bolt that piece of wood to it, but I decided just to go ahead and pop my own and call it a day. Damn factory stuff. Well, I wasn't looking forward to drilling these two long sections, because this thing here is just sheet steel, but the thing weighs 20 pounds, and what they did was they inserted steel, apparently rectangular steel, inside this frame. They didn't put it all the way across over here because they knew they had to drill it, but I had to drill it, and it was solid all the way through. And you can see all the shavings from me peeling out that 3/4 of an inch of metal. Thank God it was mild steel. If that would have been hardened stuff, I would have been in trouble. Had to drill 2 of them. Well, now that 2 of the bolts are run in, I'm going to go ahead and flip this thing over and drill the wood for the other 2. It's going to be easier to put the holes in after the first 2 were in, so I'm going to flip this guy over. Alright, well, the base is all together. Wheels secured and mounted. I was going to cut down these long bolts. It's whatever I had laying around. I'm not buying stuff for these projects, so I was going to cut them down with the angle grinder, but they're shorter than the wheels, so you know what? They're staying just the way they are. Yep, that's the way I like it. Well, this thing's about wrapped up, and it was a good thing when I was cutting the wood that I realized that the top piece actually needed to be bigger than 18 1/4 by 24 1/4. The length was fine, the 24, because this disc, which is the same as my welding table there, I have an extra one, is 20 inches in diameter. So I'm going to have about 2 inches there and 2 inches there. But if I would have cut it 18, it would have been hanging kind of over the edge, because the disc is 20 and I was going to cut the wood 18, and that wouldn't have worked. So I'm going to go ahead and trim down this piece and bolt it down and call it a day. Well, I've got my holes drilled in the wood, and now I've got my holes drilled in the top plate. So a matter of putting in 2 bolts, tightening down some nuts, and this sucker's done. Hey everybody, just wanted to let you know this guy is complete, and the only thing left to do is to lift the 80-pound rotating welding table off of that piece of junk and put it on the rolling cart. Any volunteers? Hello? Hello? Well, since the volunteers were not forthcoming, I figured I'd have to do it myself, so there we go, guys. I've now got a cart to roll this big behemoth around on, and it's at the perfect height for me to weld. So I appreciate you guys watching, and subscribe to my channel and check out other neat videos of me building something from nothing. So let's see what we've got. We've got casters I got off of Craigslist for free from a mechanic's dolly that was rotted. I've got bed frame, which was free off of Craigslist. The plywood I picked up on a Craigslist run. All the bolts, washers, nuts, etc. were taken off of stuff that I got off of Craigslist for free. The steel disc, I got this free from a friend of mine. The black one on the bottom is also steel. I just happened to have painted it. That was free. The support system for the rotating welding table, that's hard anodized aluminum. And all that stuff was free. So I've got a rolling cart, a rotating welding table, and the only thing that I spent was $2.59 on a can of black spray paint from Ace Hardware, and whatever the cost of the brazing rods were. I don't know, I get 15 or something for like $7, and I used like 3. So there we go, folks. If that isn't making something from nothing, I don't know what is. Have a great day. Florida Fisherman out. Well, thanks for watching another episode brought to you from Making Something from Nothing. And if you enjoyed that video, maybe you'll enjoy one of these as well. So feel free to click on any of these images. It'll take you right to the beginning of the video. And if you decide to build anything you see on this channel, geez, by all means, stay safe, especially if it involves fire, because I do a lot of those. Well, thanks again for watching, and until next time, this is Florida Fisherman, and I'll catch you later.